Ring ring.
Hello.
Hi, I'm looking for Scott.
Yeah, this is Scott. Who's this?
Hey Scott, good morning. This is Christopher, local real estate agent, Berkshire Hathaway here in Las Vegas. Hey Scott, I'm calling about that home on 123 Elm Street. Notice it came off the market. I was curious, are you still considering offers on the property?
Um, we took it off the market till spring. We just weren't getting the traction that we wanted.
Gotcha. Okay, so you took it off the market, kind of want to wait till spring now. Scott, if that home sold, where were you going to next?
We're gonna move down south to somewhere warmer. Probably Florida.
So, gotcha. Florida. Yeah, definitely warmer down there. Now, how soon were you looking to be out there? Was there a specific time frame?
Well, we wanted to be there during the winter time so we didn't have to go through
Mhm.
the cold weather, but that didn't
Sure.
happen. So the sooner the better, I
Gotcha.
guess.
The sooner the better. Gotcha. So there is a possibility that if you can get an offer on the property in the next 30 days, you would consider putting it back in the market, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, sure. If do you have a buyer?
Actually, I'm glad you asked that question. We do work with a number of buyers within, in and out of Las Vegas. Well, Scott, let's do this because it sounds like you'd still be open to possibly getting offers on the property. I'd love to sit and maybe spend 15 to 20 minutes with you to go over a plan that can actually get the home back on the market and sold this time around. Would you have some time maybe tomorrow at 5 or this Thursday at 7 work best?
Yeah, I can appreciate that offer. I mean, it sounds like, you probably know what you're doing. I do feel some loyalty to my realtor that I was using. I still feel like we're gonna
Mhm.
list with him in the springtime, just because I felt like he, worked pretty hard for me.
Absolutely. No, I definitely understand that loyalty to that last agent. Now, let me ask you, Scott, what did that last agent do that you like best?
Um, I thought they marketed the property pretty well. They did hold some open houses.
Mhm.
Um, I think just the typical stuff, I guess. Nothing special.
Sure. So he had a couple of open houses. Looks like marketing was out there. I saw a couple of nice pictures on that MLS listing. Now,
Yeah.
did you get any offers, by the way?
We got one, but it was pretty low.
Mhm.
But we couldn't come to an agreement on anything.
Sure. Okay, so you did get one offer. Now, if you said you're pretty loyal to that last agent, what do you think he'll do differently this time around?
I mean, I don't know if it's so much what he's going to do differently. I just think, in springtime, there's going to be a lot more buyers out there who are willing to move when it's warmer.
Sure. Okay. So springtime is what you have in mind, and you think that it'll be more beneficial for you with more buyers out there. Well, let me ask you,
I hope
Scott.
so.
From my experience, I know other sellers are thinking the same thing. Let's get our home back on the market this spring. We'll get more traction now. If there was a benefit to getting your home on the market, let's say in the next 30 days, would you be open to meeting with me so I can explain why?
Yeah, if I could get an offer today or in the next 30 days, that was acceptable to me, then yeah, I'd be willing to sell. Would you be able to just tell me what you do differently?
Absolutely. And that's one reason why I'd love to sit and talk with you, spend a couple minutes with you and, whoever else is on the sign or on the property, kind of go over what I would actually do, an action plan to get your home on the market. And this time, even more offers. Now, is there a second signer on the property other than yourself?
Yeah, my wife.
Okay. Well, let's do this because I definitely love to meet both of you in person. I know it's just over the phone and, it was just a random call this morning. Would you and your wife be available, let's say this Friday at 5 p.m.? Just a good 15 to 20 minutes of your time?
I mean, maybe I'd have to talk with her first. I don't want to
Sure.
just set something, especially when we still feel pretty committed to the last agent. But if
Absolutely.
you want to give me your contact, I will ask her and I can give you a call back.
Absolutely. Well, I'll give you my contact information when we get off the phone. Definitely keep me in mind and talk to your wife. I understand your loyalty. I mean, that last agent and you worked with him before, but with the results that you've gotten already, only one offer, a couple of open houses, and some marketing, let me ask you, would it be beneficial to you to get a second opinion from another agent just to, kind of keep your options open?
I mean, maybe. I mean, do you want to just send me or just some information through email, maybe what you would do?
Absolutely. I'll do that as well. What's a good email address, Scott?
Scott.anderson@gmail.com.
Scott Anderson at gmail.com. I got that down. Now, I'm going to shoot over some information in regards to myself, what I do, my action plan, something you and your wife can go over and talk about. Let's do this. Let's pencil in this Friday at 5. I'll let you talk to your wife this evening. I'll shoot over that information. You both can discuss it. I'll follow up with you tomorrow morning around the same time just to make sure our appointment that we pencil in for 5 would be okay. How's that sound?
Yeah, I'll talk with her about it. I mean, if you want to follow up with me just to see if it still works. I mean, what I could tell you is I'm pretty sure I'm still loyal to that other realtor, so I don't think I'll be signing anything when you do come.
Not a problem at all. I'm coming over just to go over what my information that I emailed to you will entail as far as my action plan. So I'll pencil in Friday for 5 p.m. I'll shoot over that information to your email address right after our phone call. Again, it'll go over my action plan, what I would do to get your home on the market and sold. Go over that with your wife because I definitely understand that she is the second signer on the property. You both want to discuss, maybe there is a second route or a second option that we can do to get this home on the market. And then I'll look forward to meeting both of you at 5. How's that sound? Friday at
Okay.
5. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we can plan on that.
Okay. Sounds good, Scott. I'll shoot over that information right after this phone call, give you a follow-up call tomorrow morning, and hopefully we can talk this Friday at 5.
That sounds good.
Thank you.
Cool.
See you then. Feedback.
I thought it was pretty solid. Overall, I'm trying to think. I'm still fairly green at this, so I don't know. I couldn't give you the best feedback, but I mean, I feel like you hit on my motivation. You didn't take no for an answer.
No, that was not a.
So I don't know. Jose, got anything?
I think I ended it with that hopefully. That hopefully kind of sounded doubtful. Hopefully we can meet this
Yeah,
Friday. I, I
yeah,
I I felt myself saying that. I should have been more confident. Like, great, we will meet this
yeah,
Friday. I'll follow up
sure.
with you tomorrow. But I was really trying to get in the door.
Yeah, of course.
That's all. I mean, that's the objective, right? Just get in the door. Let's meet them. Shoot our
I
option.
would I would
Go
say
ahead, Jose.
slow down.
Go down. I had one
Like
cup, 20 cup, Jose. Just one.
I know I feel like the rate of speed so and I want you to think about it this way. So like let's say like you're really calm, really um yeah, just like really calm, really mellow, and then somebody's like, and you're like, "Hey, I'm gonna get your home sold. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do this," and like talking really fast. How does that feel on the receiving end?
You're right. It's like, whoa, slow down, buddy. It's 8 o'clock in the
Well,
morning.
well,
Yeah.
it makes you it leads to distrust a lot of times. So like, have you ever noticed like a group of friends that they're hanging out? Have you ever noticed how a lot of them wear similar types of clothes, or if girls hang out in a friend group, they wear like similar types of bags and similar types of things? So what I was going to say is like if you're speaking to somebody and they're like that, yes, increase the energy, like more mirror and match type of thing. So I would say that would help you build trust, that when your rate of speed is too fast and your pitch a little too high, it would build distrust, and you want to be more conscious of the other person on the other side of the phone and mirror and match that a little bit more. I think that'll help you build up trust. And I think that if you're speaking too fast or your pitch is too high, um, that and the other person is really calm and mellow, I think it actually builds a lot of distrust, which makes it harder. On the opposite end, if you're, let me ask you this: I'm speaking really fast and I'm the consumer, and then you're speaking really slow. You're just like, "Hey man, how you doing? Like, got a great marketing plan, like we can help you sell your property for top dollar. All you need to do is holler." Like, how does that feel on the receiving end? Now, if I'm speaking too slow
I
and
would be instantly bored with my
you would get bored,
personality.
yeah,
Yeah.
you would get bored. You would think potentially the other person's a little dumb, potentially, just because they're speaking slower. So that's what I want you to think about,
Okay.
and
Okay.
practice just how good are you matching the other person's energy? Like it'll be to the point where somebody like I'll be like, "Hey, John, how are you today?" He's like, "I'm doing okay," and then they'll ask me, "How are you doing?" I'm not gonna be like, I'm doing excellent. It's a great day today. I'm gonna be like, yeah, I'm doing okay as well too. You see how it's just like matching.
Okay.
It'll even come to the point where if somebody, in some cases, I have a university that people log on to, and some cases, some people have a little bit of an accent, and I'll match that accent, and then that'll build trust, you know? So that would be the best advice I can give you.
Okay.
And
I
that's
was.
like picking at it, but I think that would be helpful to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Want me to go?
Cool. What else? What else do people want to work on?
Want to go, Scott?
Yeah, I can go. All right. Still with you, Chris?
Sure.
Okay. Ring.
Hello.
Yeah, hi, is this Chris?
Is this another realtor?
It is a realtor. How did you know?
I'm getting like a million calls this morning. I got to go to work, Scott.
Sure. Understand. And I don't know if you're aware or not, your house came off the market yesterday due to an expired listing, and that's why you're getting these calls. They might persist for another day or so, and then they will slow down. I guess and I'll be sure to take you off my list as well. And while I have you here real quick, I know obviously your house did come off the market. Are you still planning on selling it?
You know what? As of right now, we had it on the market for 6 months. Probably not. The holidays are around the corner, so we're gonna hold off. Maybe wait till after the holidays.
Sure. That's understandable. Well, Chris, I'm a little curious because I was looking at the pictures. Your home's very lovely. It's in a great geographic area. I'm just curious, when you first had it on the market, was there any particular reason you were even considering selling it?
Well, all the kids are out of the house now, so we're just gonna downgrade. Get some equity and kind of enjoy the rest of our lives. But
Sure.
yeah, Scott, give me a call tomorrow because I'm getting more calls right now. I got to get ready for work.
Yep. No, that's completely understandable. I appreciate that, Chris. Well, I guess I'm curious, is that still something that's important to you guys as far as getting that house sold, or have things changed forever on that?
I mean, we'd like to sell it. I mean, we tried selling it, over the past 6 months. It's still kind of important, but it's not really an emergency. My wife has all the Christmas decor up now, so it's like, we don't want no one going through the house anymore. So,
Sure. Understandable. And your wife is still pretty excited about moving as well.
well, I mean, she had her eye on a couple properties over the past 6 months, but we didn't get any offers on it. We're probably, again, we're gonna wait till after the holidays.
Yeah. No, and that makes sense. Well, curious here, Chris, and I do appreciate you're willing to share that with me, because the more information you're willing to share, the better equipped I am to provide you with information that could be helpful or useful to you in some way. I guess, I'm curious if there was an ideal timeline of when you could move. If you did get a very acceptable offer, would sooner be better than later?
Well, yeah, of course. If we did get an offer, sooner would have been better because
Sure.
we'd like to get it out the way. And like I said, my wife had an eye on a couple properties that we glanced at, so she didn't want to miss out on that opportunity. I don't even know if they're still listed anymore. So yeah, of
Yeah.
course, sooner would have been better.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, hey, and I guess I'm just curious, how did you happen to pick the agent that you hired to help?
Well, the agent sold us this house about 15 years ago. Good friend. Always kept consistent with what's going on in the market. So we wanted to use her again.
Yeah, no, that's completely understandable. I can see why you would do that. Now, because your house is very lovely, did your agent give you any particular reason as to why it didn't sell?
No particular reason. She said it was probably the interest rates are high and a lot of buyers are kind of fussing around with closing costs. And she mentioned something about the commission too and whatnot. So that was probably the reason. So, but no, we didn't
Yeah,
get offers. So again, we're loyal to her. She's really cool. She's like family to us. So we're probably gonna reach out to her right after the holidays.
yeah, no, that's great. And do you mind if I give you a compliment?
Sure.
Yeah, no, it's good to hear that you are loyal. Like, loyalty is pretty rare nowadays, so it's good to hear that. At the same time, it sounds like you guys obviously want to sell your house sooner than later, and for some reason that just didn't happen. If you knew for sure that you could get an offer in the next maybe 30, 45 days that would allow you to sell your house and make that move, do you think that's something that you would still do?
Well, we're gonna definitely do the downgrade. There's no doubt about that. But I mean, right now with the holidays, like I said, my wife wants to kind of just not have anybody in the house right now. So, I mean, I'll talk to her about, keeping her options open and maybe interviewing other agents. But, she makes the final decision. You know what I mean? Got to keep
Sure.
her happy.
Sure, understandable. But it sounds like if you got the right offer, even if that was in the next 30 days and it'll allow you to make that move so you can downgrade, it would be something you would still probably do, correct?
Sure.
Okay. Well, just by you saying that demonstrates we should get together and discuss the options. Can I make a suggestion to you?
What's that, Scott?
Well, it sounds to me like, you guys, you and your wife both still would like to make that move sooner than later, but for whatever reason, and your house just didn't sell. So what I propose to suggest, because I'm in your area all the time and it really wouldn't be a big deal, but I'd love the opportunity just to be able to come by, take a quick peek at your house, see what it has to offer. And while I'm there, I can show you two things very clearly. Number one is why your house didn't sell. And then number two, what changes would need to be made in a much more proactive and aggressive approach to ensure and virtually guarantee that it does get sold this time around. And while I'm there, I'll be able to provide you with a net sheet that'll show you net bottom line proceeds you and your family would be able to walk away with on the sale of the property. And then, Chris, no matter what it is that you decide to do, whether it's listing with your other agent a few months down the road, or you decide to list it sooner, you'll at least have all the most important information that you need to make the best decision for you and your family. Does that sound fair to you?
Scott, that sounds great. I'll have to talk to my wife about that. Like I said, she's gonna make the final decision. She really loves her last realtor. Our last realtor was a female, and when females like each other, they click pretty well. So you're really gonna have to convince her over. But I'll talk to her.
Yeah, no, I get that, Chris. I do. Now, obviously, your wife is still on board. I get the loyalty to the other realtor, but if your wife, if she knew, because she was still excited to make the move, it sounds like, but if she knew for certainty that there was somebody who could shed some light on the situation, explain very clearly and specifically as what needs to be done in order to get your house sold this time around so you can make a smooth transition into that next home, I'd have to imagine she'd want to speak to him, wouldn't she?
If she'd be open to it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me ask you this, Chris. Under normal circumstances, if we were to meet, are you more available in the afternoons or early evenings?
Well, we prefer the weekends.
The weekends are best. Okay. Now on the weekends is afternoons or early evenings? What works better for you there?
Well, I'm pretty much off. I'll have to see when she's available.
Sure. Well, that's understandable. Well, how about this? Since you have it off, obviously you got to talk to your wife, which I totally get. What if we pencil it in for 2 o'clock on Saturday? And then that way you can chat with your wife about it. And what I'll do is I'll have my assistant call you the morning of just to make sure that still works. If for some reason it doesn't, we can certainly change things around. Otherwise, we'll just plan on meeting Saturday at 2 p.m. Does that sound good?
Yeah, again, I'm going to talk to her later today. But Scott, send me over some information. I want to get some, track record on you and see what you sold, and also, like your marketing plan. I want to see what you've done different. Because again, this last agent, like we know her, we know her consistency and her reputation. So just send me some information, and I'm going to talk to my wife tonight and confirm from there.
Absolutely. And that makes complete sense. So I will absolutely send you over some information. In the meantime, I'm also going to be sending you over some comparable sales. And since it's a tentative appointment for Saturday at 2 p.m., that'll give you time to look over my information and then also speak with your wife. And so what we'll do, we'll plan on that. I'll send over that information. And I know your time is valuable, Chris. So I want to make sure that I'm going to be doing some homework in preparation for that meeting, just to make sure that we're all on the same page. And I just have a couple extra questions to ask you, but I know your time's valuable again, so I'll be very brief and I'll jump in a pre-qual.
Awesome.
Give him some feedback.
I thought Scott was still pushing for the appointment. I was trying to hurry up and, get on my way. Scott was pretty mellow with his conversation. It wasn't like me, but I thought it was still kind of within that same, speed in a way, but Scott's personality is different than mine, as the way we both talk. But yeah, I thought Scott did fine.
What about at the beginning when he said like he had to hurry up and get to work, like repeat and approve? Because he just kind of like just jumped into his questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I made some notes whenever they said, "Hey, I've got to get to work." at the beginning of conversations, even when they don't say that to me, I'll say something like, I'll make this really quick for you, or I'll be very brief. It kind of lets the other person, like, it kind of brings the guard down a little bit, and it lets them know that you're conscious of their time as well, too. So, hey, I've got to get to work really quick. Not a problem. I'll be very brief. And then I will actually focus on making my conversation a little bit more brief and a little bit more straight to the point. So at some point very early on, he said to you, I'm going to be relisting after the holidays. Now, and then later on in that conversation, you asked if selling is still important to
Yeah,
them.
I know.
So if they say to you, I'm going to relist after the holidays, do you think that selling is still important to them?
I knew right after I said that I made a mistake.
Well, it's funny because that basically signals to me, yes, I'm still selling. So in a situation like this where they're like, hey, look, I got to get to work, I think that he was very generous in giving you time after the fact. But I think if you can be a little bit more brief and a little bit more concise and get more straight to the point, like all you need to know at the very beginning before you get into the prequel is that they're still interested in selling. And after you know that they're still interested in selling, if they're a little bit in a hurry, you can close right after that. You can say you can move up this one that you said. You said this later down the line, and I'm like, if you can move this up, you said if you knew that you can get another offer in the next 30 to 45 days that would still be acceptable to you, is that something that you'd be open to now? If there was a financial advantage to doing something now versus waiting until after the holidays, is that something that you would still be open to?
Mm.
I think that you could have moved that up a lot faster, and I think it would have made it a more pleasant conversation for the person on the other end, considering uh, I don't know if they would have given if that was a real situation, I don't know if they would have given you that much time.
Yeah.
Got it. The other thing, he said something about like, hey, look, she doesn't really want anybody in the house at this point. Maybe pitching a solution for that. Well, let me ask you this. Like, what if there was a way where we actually didn't have to have any physical showings? Or what if we can do any showings virtually so that you didn't have to have people walking through the home and you can get the offer in the next 30 to 45 days while there's still lower inventory? Is that something that you'd be open to? And here's the last piece of feedback that I was going to give you. The last piece of feedback was just at some point he said he was selling and buying, and he said that there was a couple of properties that his wife liked. So it sounds like this is a case that they're selling to be able to buy. So sometimes they're not necessarily motivated to sell, and a lot of the conversations that they're having are on the sell side. If you pay a little bit of attention to what they're looking for,
Bubba, shut up.
or or that anybody know how to mute somebody? Or that specific area, then I think that would be helpful. So when he said, hey, look, I don't know if those properties are still available. Well, let me ask you this. If those properties were still available and you were able to get an offer in the next 30 days versus waiting, is that something that you'd be open to? Because they're like, I don't even know if those properties are still available. My wife liked them. You know, if somebody was interested in some properties and they liked them, do you think that would be something that maybe like, hey, look, if those properties were still available and I can get your property sold in the next 2 to 3 weeks, that way you can get into that property, would you be open to that? Or if those properties were still available and I can get you an offer the next 2 to 3 weeks and I can make it super simple for you to the point where we don't have very many showings, is that something that you'd be open to? You see how that wraps around all three of the concerns right there?
Yep.
I'd be like, yeah, I would be open to that, you know?
Yeah. I definitely could have done a better job listening,
Listening.
acknowledging, then thinking about what I'm going to say.
Yeah. It's hard to really listen and catch these things in the moment. when you're thinking about, okay, what do I say next? So and Aaron said this, and I've said this a couple times on these calls. He gave an example one time about his son playing soccer and getting really close to the goal line, and like almost like a breakaway, like you like almost like you break away, you've got a couple defenders around you, getting really close and then missing the shot. And his dad and Aaron's son Sebastian asked him, he said, like kind of like, hey, what's going on? And then what Aaron said is, what's going on is that in that moment, what the game seems super fast for you. Said the only way to slow down the game is to practice that shot multiple times. Because if you practice that shot in that scenario multiple times in high pressure situation, the game actually slows down for you. So what happens to you, because you're so new at this, there's still some time that you got to give it to practice. And as you continue to practice, the game's going to slow down, where a lot of times me and Aaron now, we know what the other person is going to say or the objection that they're going to give us in the first couple of words. And now we're just waiting for them to finish their sentence, because we already know what they're going to say to us, and we know what to say, and we know like the next second or third thing that they're going to say just based on that one thing, because you recognize that pattern already. So the only way to kind of get there is by doing the boring thing, which the boring thing is practicing, which you're doing obviously here, and you're doing a great job. And obviously I see improvement in this as well too. So congratulations on that.
Thanks.
But that's what I would say. That would be the way to slow down the game, to the point where they're about to say something and now you're just waiting for them to complete their sentence, because you know what direction you're going to take it in, basically.
Yep. Makes sense. Appreciate it.
Welcome. What else, guys?
Let's do it, Jose.
Can we do a probate?
Right. Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Cool.
Who is it? Me?
Yeah, you got it, Joel.
Yeah. All right. Let's do it.
Who do you want on the seller side? You want Mario, me? You want Joseph? Who you want?
It doesn't matter. I'll take whoever.
I'll jump on. If that's
all
cool.
right. Let's do it. All right. Ring ring.
Hello.
Yes. Hi. I'm looking for Jose.
This is him. Who's this?
Yes. Hi, Jose. My name's Joel Armendariz. I'm calling because I specialize in working with families that are going through probate. I'm calling regarding the Morales estate. First and foremost, Jose. Yeah, first and foremost, Jose, I just want to express my deepest condolences to you and your family. I do realize that, sincerely, I might be a little premature in the situation, but I am calling you very respectfully, of course, because my assistant had notified me that if not already, very soon, you will be appointed the personal representative of the estate. Is that correct?
Yeah. How do you know we're going through the probate process, and how did you get my information?
And that's a great question, Jose. Really what I do is this is what I specialize in regards to working with families with probate, like I said, and this information is all public record. So I do my due diligence in researching at the courthouse, and that's how I obtain these records. So I was just simply calling Jose because I just wanted to find out if you and your family possibly needed some assistance in finding the right ancillary services to be able to meet your guys' needs.
No, I think right now we're not really doing much with it. We're kind of just waiting to get appointed. After we get appointed, that's when we'll kind of start addressing some of these things.
I definitely hear you, and I can totally understand as to why you might want to why you want to wait till you get appointed, just to make sure that everything goes through smoothly. That's perfectly fine. My job is actually, it's here just to help you guys. It's never to talk you guys into doing anything at all. And I do appreciate your willingness to share that information with me. My goal here is just to be able to provide you guys with some information. Do you think that, maybe just having some information in regards to the ancillary services that my team and I could be able to provide for you would actually benefit you and your family just while you're here in the decision-making process?
Well, I mean, at this point, we're not even sure what we're going to do with the property. We're not even sure if we're going to sell. So what I would say is just check back with me like in the next 2 months. And then after the next 2 months, then I think I'll know like, hey, look, this is what we're doing. And this is the direction that we're kind of taking everything in.
I get it, Jose, and I could definitely respect that. If you don't mind me asking, is there something that you guys might not be actually 100% sure of in regards to what you want to do with the property?
Yeah, I mean, we have beneficiaries that are wanting to keep it, and we have beneficiaries that are thinking about selling it, you know? So it's
I
kind of like one of those situations where we have a couple of people that want to keep it as a family home. We have obviously a couple people that are like, no, like let's cash out, you know, we're at the peak of the market. Like
Of course.
let's sell the property, you know?
Yeah, I can totally understand that. So it sounds like you guys are kind of unsure in regards to what you want to do with the properties, mainly because you've got some people that want to keep it, some of the beneficiaries that want to sell it. That's what I'm hearing, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Those are ones that, if you don't mind me asking, Jose, the beneficiaries that want to keep the property, um, have they said, how they want to go about being able to keep the property? Do you possibly know if maybe they have the means to be able to buy you guys out? Have you heard anything like that in regards to what they want to do with the property?
Yeah, they're actually in the process of trying to get qualified. That's what they're kind of going through right now.
Oh, okay. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. That sounds good. And if you had it your way, and you had a preference one way or the other to keep it or sell it, what would you prefer to do?
I'd prefer 100% to sell it, like
Okay.
100%.
Okay, so it sounds like you guys are still, in the midst of deciding as far as whether the ones that want to keep it can actually qualify to be able to keep it, possibly maybe buy you guys out, or if you guys maybe need to sell it. Um,
Correct.
you know, and I have a lot of clients in that same situation, Jose, as you guys. And really what I like to do is, and I really don't mind, is we just really we set up a simple 10 to 15 minute no obligation consultation just in regards to be able to go through all your guys' options. Whether you guys do decide to keep it, we have options for that as well. Or if you guys do decide to sell it, my goal and objective is just really to be able to provide information and to be of assistance to you and your family to be able to help you guys have all the information to where you can make the best decision possible for your guys' family. How does that sound to you?
Yeah, I would say it sounds good. I think that would be something that the family would enjoy. How would it work? I mean, we live in Tennessee. Um, yeah, we live in Tennessee, so I mean, we're not at the property at all. How would it work?
Yeah, definitely. So that's a great question. We can either do a phone call like how we're doing right now, or we can also do a Zoom as well. Zoom I prefer because I can actually share my screen with you guys, give you a breakdown as far as what you guys are looking at in regards to all the ancillary services that my team and I can be able to provide for you and your family, as well as if you guys do decide to sell. Your guys' net bottom line at what you're looking at to receive proceed wise on the homes for the home's current condition on the open market. Does that sound like something that would work for you and your family?
Um, I think so. I mean, we got really nothing to lose, obviously, with the understanding that you know that we're not 100% sure if we're going to be selling. As long as you're okay with that, um, then yeah, I think I would be open to that.
Of course, yeah, definitely. I'm okay with that. Like I said, my job is to be able to provide you guys information and to be a resource to you guys. At this time, when we have this consultation, I'm not going to be asking you to sign anything. We're just going to be going over this information and seeing what we can actually do for you to be able to help you and your family out as a team. So, say we're to get together here this week. What works best for you? I have Thursday 5 or Friday also like about 3 and 6 o'clock. What works best for you?
Um, would you want other beneficiaries on the call, or would it just be with me?
So that's a great question, Jose. That's really up to you guys. If your beneficiaries are available to get on the call and you're okay with that, most definitely they are welcome to join. If they're not able to join for whatever reason, if they have questions that you can just, that you can ask for them, that way we can get those answered at the same time as well.
Got it. Okay. I'd probably do you work on the weekends at all?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
The weekend
So
works best.
yeah, if we could put down something tentatively for maybe like Saturday, like at 1, I'll check with some of the beneficiaries to see if they are available, particularly the ones that are kind of considering keeping the property. Yeah, particularly the
Okay,
ones that are considering
perfect.
keeping the property, basically. That would be extremely helpful. Yeah.
Sounds good, Jose. Sounds good. I'll put you down tentatively at 1 o'clock Saturday. But unless I hear anything back from you, what's the best email that I can send just some preliminary information to you for just to give you my introduction, as well as what my team and I can be able to offer you guys as well as that Zoom link.
I would say blah, blah, blah.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much, Jose. So I got you down here Saturday at 1 o'clock. I look forward to meeting with you and possibly any of the other beneficiaries in your family, just to go over this basic information that we just spoke about in regards to what you might be looking at, your net bottom line proceeds to you and your family, as well as ancillary services that we can be able to help you guys out with, especially considering that you guys are out of state. My team and I you can kind of consider us as like your boots on the ground over here. So we can, be able to work hand in hand, pretty well together, because this is not the first time that I worked with clients that are out of state as well. Okay.
Perfect.
Awesome. Sounds good, Jose. Thank you so much for your time. You have a great rest of your day.
Okay. Sounds great. Perfect. Cool, man. So good job. Yeah.
Right.
Anybody want to give him some feedback?
I could say I think you did really good. I like where you went with it. Jose gave you a couple of openings. Like with the Zoom call, I would bring up the Zoom call first, and I'd bring up the other beneficiaries first, and I wouldn't bring up like, we don't have to sign anything or anything like that. I would just make it more nonchalant. Yeah, just see how we can help you, and then kind of just take it from there, because it's a kind of a process. It's maybe a multiple Zoom close sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I thought you did really well.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thanks.
Same here, bro. I thought you did. For some reason, my camera's off. Let me get that back on. I'm not hiding. Okay. So yeah, I thought you did very well, bro. Here is a couple notes that I wrote. The how did you get my information? I thought it was a very good response. Here's like an additional tweak. So I thought the direction you went in is like, because that's a great question. Because I do specialize in probate. I think you said I do research through the court records. I would just say, because I specialize in probate, I actually have access to the court information instead of I do research. I do research makes it seem like almost like and I know Aaron probably says something like that. I have access to it, almost like, hey, not everybody has access to it, almost like it's like almost like if I had a certain license to specialize in it, I have access to it, basically. Because I specialize in probate, I actually have access to the court information or the court records, which obviously allows me to see all the petitions and everything like that. I like that a little bit better than
research.
I did research. Research makes it almost seem like ambulance chaser type of like thing, So and that's like a super small tweak, bro, because the response was like really, really good. And you may not want to do that, but you can get away with either one. I think what you asked in regards to what would you like to do, I would probably ask like, hey, what do you think is more probable to happen? I think you asked like, do they have the financial means to be able to do that? So that was actually all like really good questions. I love the fact that whenever he's like, hey, look, like like we want to see if they're able to keep it. I like that as a solution. Well, like, hey, what if I could help you guys actually figure out whether or not they can buy it out and what that payment situation would look like if they did just buy it out and what it would look like for all the beneficiaries. If I can do an analysis like that for you guys and give you very clear, specific guidance as to what is best for the family, would that be helpful to you? Which
All right.
you said it very similar, which I think is great. And then here's the main feedback that I would say. So these people are going to be receiving some additional calls, like prior to, or they're going to be receiving some calls after you talk to them. I would say that in that call, I don't really know anything about you. I don't know anything about like what separates you. I don't know anything about what makes your company different. So with probate, I usually like to say something that catches their attention so that if they go out and talk to other people, I've differentiated myself in one way or another. So I'll say something great. So I've got you down for maybe like Saturday at 1 o'clock. And just so you know, in case the other family members ask, here's a couple of services that may be helpful to you that we can help you with. And
Okay.
I'd maybe list 2 or 3 like of highlighted services that you guys offer that would make their life easier as an administrator. So for
Okay.
me, some of those services I may say, hey, just so you know, if the property needed any work, I can do an as-is valuation for you guys, and I can give you guys a valuation of what the property would look like fixed up. In addition to that, I can actually advance any amount of money to fix up the property. I can help manage all the repairs, and I can get reimbursed at the close of escrow and not charge a single penny for that.
Okay.
Here's another service that we offer. Another service that we offer is we offer advancement of funds. So if there was a family member at the house that needed some relocation assistance to find another property, we actually have the resources to be able to advance those funds to them. Once again, no cost. We get reimbursed at the close of escrow. If there's any personal items that need to be sold, we have relationships with all of the best estate sale companies here locally, and we have the ability to be able to help you manage that estate sale and connect you with the very best vendors, even if there's some collectibles or anything like that. Another
Okay.
thing that we have available to you, if you wanted to donate any items, we have a moving truck. We can actually get those items transported for you, and we won't charge a single dime for that. If there was any items that may need to be thrown away, we also have a dump truck. And then I may say, after 2 or 3 of those, does it sound like any of these services would be helpful to you?
Okay.
And then I may say, like, okay, and which one of those services would you need the most? Well, I would actually need the donation the most. Boom. Or if you didn't want to do it like that, just I would ask probing questions that determines like what services they would need the most help with. Hey, just out of curiosity, as an administrator, like what do you feel you would need the most help with when selling the property? Is it evaluation of the property? Is it what to do with the personal items? Is it do I fix up the property or do any work to it? Um, is it the paperwork for the probate process? Is it the probate process in general? Like a little bit of guidance there. What do you feel you would need the most help with? And that'll allow you to know how to sell them basically and what's important to them.
Okay.
Like I'll give you a scenario. I actually am working with a new fiduciary, which is basically a person that handles a lot of these probates and trusts for the court. And the questions I was asking them were, how do you typically handle this? Like, hey, how do you typically handle, like, do you use the same agent every single time, or do you select a different agent for every property? How do you go about selecting the agent that you ultimately end up selecting for each property individually? Hey, what do you need the most help with as an administrator? I know you do this all the time. How do you handle the personal property? How do you handle the repairs? How do you handle this? How do you do this? I collected all this information and now I know, okay, this is how to sell this individual. This is what's important to them. And even at the beginning of listing presentations, it's called the need analysis. I may ask, like, hey, what do you need the most help with? Collect a couple, 3 items. Boom. Now I know exactly what to sell them. Even for when we onboard EXP agents, part of our process is a need analysis. What are your needs? And then guess what I pitch?
What their needs are.
Exactly what their needs are. So they almost feel like your solution is custom tailored to them.
Yeah.
Which that's what they want. Like imagine going somewhere and being like, hey, they get really in touch with your needs, and then the solutions that they're proposing are exactly what your needs are. You're like, oh my God, like this is exactly what I was looking for, you know?
After you just told them what you needed, and then they tell you
Yeah.
what their
And then they tell you
situation is. Yeah.
which is like a great way to sell people.
All right.
And then just make sure that your solutions cover a lot of those needs, basically. That you
All right.
come up with solutions for those needs.
Nice. All right. Awesome. Thank
Cool.
you.
Is that helpful?
Appreciate it. Yeah, very helpful. Got a bunch of notes.
Awesome, bro.
For sure. Thank you.
Good for you.
Yo,
What
Jose.
else? Yeah.
How you doing, man? Hey, can we do I have another appointment after your on listing appointment. I go, I still have a couple of agents I'm going to interview.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm working on that. It seems to be probably the most important pressing thing right now for me anyway. Okay, so you just told me that
before we get there, did you know in the prequel that there was other appointments, or did you ask if they were interviewing other agents in the prequel?
Yeah, I asked if they're going to be interviewing other agents that they've already made the decision to interview. Just hire me. So I include that in the prequel.
Okay,
so I do ask that, but then so I'm just doing a generic practicing. I don't have a specific scenario that I'm referencing, but I do ask that question commonly to see if they're going to be interviewing other people. And most of the time they say, yeah, we've got a couple of people we're going to be talking to.
Okay, and then are you asking if those interviews are already set up and when those interviews are for?
No.
Okay, so and this is why like I'm asking this, because sometimes like if it's catching you by surprise at the listing presentation, it could be a prequel situation where you're not asking enough questions in the prequel. But if, for example, like you asked it in the prequel and they happen to set up a appointment after you talk to them, there's nothing you can do on the prequel. But if there are, like, let's say in the prequel, I'm like, hey, look, and just out of curiosity, like at this point, have you already decided that you want to work with me, or are you kind of going through the interview process? No, we're going through the interview process at the present moment. Okay. And at this point, aside from our meeting at X, do you have other appointments set up already? Or are you going to be setting up those appointments just depending on how our meeting goes? No, I'm going to wait to see how our meeting goes, then I'll set up appointments. Or no, I already have other appointments set up. Got it. And just out of curiosity, I know our meeting is Wednesday at 5. Are those appointments before our meeting or after our meeting? Now, why am I asking that, Tim? If it's before our meeting or after our meeting?
Why are you asking that?
Well, if it's before our meeting, I want to make sure that they don't sign anything before our meeting.
And you would handle that how?
I would just say, hey, look, I know that you have 2 appointments beforehand. I know that I can do a really good job for you. And I know that those agents are probably going to be asking you to sign something. And they may even say something like this, Tim. They may even say, hey, look, just sign something and I'll cancel the other appointments for you. You know, they may even say something like, hey, look, I could save you time, or just sign right here. And then if you're not comfortable, I'll rip up the paperwork, you know? So Is there any way that you can hold off on signing anything until we meet on Wednesday at 5 p.m.?
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
So like imagine me like saying your objection handle that I know that you're going to use at the listing presentation, and saying it over the phone. So when the client hears it in person, they're like, oh my God, this is exactly what that realtor said that was going to happen. Like I recognize that he's trying to sell me in this very moment because I help them recognize that pattern almost. I've done that where it's like, hey, look, this agent's probably going to tell you this, this, and this. And as soon as that agent starts telling them this, this, and this, they're like, this is exactly what that agent told me was going to happen. And now they put a shield up at that present moment. So I would ask that, like, be like, hey, look, like, are you, can you hold off on signing anything until we meet? And I if they're having a meeting before that, I am asking them that 100% of the time. Hey, can you hold off on signing anything until we meet? Because the worst thing that can happen to you, Tim, is somebody like me shows up before you and I get the contract signed and then you never get the at bat. So all I want is the at bat. I'm not asking for them to sign with me. All I'm asking for is the at bat. Now, if it's after me, great. And is that meeting like right after like we meet, or hey, do you mind me asking when is that other meeting with the other agent? Oh, it's actually happening on Friday. If it's right after you, bro, like 30 minutes after you or an hour after you, it's going to be really hard for you to cancel that appointment because very likely that agent's already on their way. If it's like a couple of hours after you or 3 hours after you or 4 hours after you or the next day, it's a lot easier for them to cancel that appointment and just kind of work with you basically at that point.
Interesting. Okay. How do you handle like with me? So much of my clientele is past clients. So yeah. I make a mistake oftentimes assuming that because they've called me because we have a long-term relationship that I am the only one. You know, I work from the assumption I have the listing, and then come time I end up sometimes getting surprised. I may get the listing still because of it, but sometimes I'm surprised that you're interviewing them. Oh, okay. So I make that mistake a lot because I assume because I've worked with them, sold them multiple houses or whatever, that they're of course they're going to work with me. How do you catch yourself from doing that?
So I think it comes down to the prequel. In the prequel, one of the questions is, are you interviewing other agents for the job? That's one of the questions in the pre-qualification, and it's there for a reason. Yeah. It's there to basically like determine, hey, look, like, how are you guys handling this? Like, so I may ask you like, hey, look, I know we have a long-term relationship and I know that we've worked together multiple times in the past. I'm imagining that you're reaching out to me because you're really happy with the services. At this point, are you interviewing other agents for the job of helping you sell this property, or have you already decided that you want me to help you with the sale? No, Tim, we've already decided that we want you to help us with the sale. Or yes, I'm actually interviewing a couple of different agents. So that's why I was asking this question, because it could be a prequal issue versus you're thinking it's a listing presentation. How do I handle this objection handler? I'm thinking potentially it's a prequel and digging potentially deeper and even asking it in that situation.
Okay. And that's a valid point. That's something to work on for sure. So let's assume then for the role play that I did ask that question and they did say that they had some subsequent appointments after our appointment time.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So I said, so Jose, is there any other reason why we couldn't be moving forward, given what we've gone over already today?
Got it. Tim, I actually have a couple of interviews set up. So here's what I would say. We enjoyed our time together. Leave all your information here, and we do have a couple of people that we're going to be talking to, but we're pretty confident we're going to be going with you. We just kind of want to get a couple of different opinions, like kind of go through that process basically.
Sure. Yeah, of course, I totally get that. It's a big decision, Jose. So before I go, I'm just curious if we could maybe go over just a few of the things that we've kind of touched on, just to make sure that you're clear on everything that we're going to do for you, and I'm clear on everything that you need. Is there any questions that you have with regards to the marketing, for example, what we're going to be doing, our 20-point plan, our meeting with the designer to help put your furniture in the right place, the schedule of photography, our showing? Is there anything there that you have any questions about that I haven't addressed yet?
No, I think you've done a really good job, like with that. So I don't think we have any questions as it relate. Definitely not the marketing for sure, you know?
Okay, cool. Well, let me check that off. So, with regards to the pricing, we went over what the market is indicating. The general price point is going to be for your home. Are you comfortable with that number? Do you have any questions about that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I like for it to be more, Tim, like any other seller, you know? I like for it to be more. Yeah, for sure.
Sure. That's something we should probably talk about a little bit further. So let me make a note, and I'll come back and we'll go through those numbers again. I'm just curious if you're interviewing one of these other agents. If one of them was to come to you and say, "Hey, Jose, you know what? The way I see these
Hold on.
numbers, I can get you."
Hold on. So I think you're crisscrossing objection handlers. So this objection handler that you're saying is more, I need to think about it. So let's say I say, hey, I need to think about it. It's a big decision, isn't it, Tim?
Yeah.
So here's what I found. I have found that because it is a big decision, sometimes when we break this big decision down into smaller decisions, it typically makes the bigger decision easier to make. Can I explain to you what I mean by that? Yes.
Right. Well, that's the before I go, the three things, the three decisions every seller needs to make, which I sort of put at the back end because in my mind, I'm trying to figure out exactly where, have I addressed everything that they have concerns over. So you're saying I'm crossing?
So what they're saying is, Tim, we like everything that you have to say. What are they saying? We're interviewing a couple of other agents.
Right.
Okay, great. Not a problem. Just out of curiosity, I know that we've worked together in the past. Obviously, the reason I'm here is I like to earn your business. Do you mind me asking, Tim, like, what is it that you're looking for in whichever real estate agent you end up hiring?
Well, Jose, that's a great question. It's really not so much what we're looking for. We just want to see some different information, from different agents, in terms of, what the market's like, and we just don't know what we don't know.
Okay. So you're just basically looking to talk to different agents to get different information.
Yeah, we know you, we like you, we trust you, we know what you're doing, but I mean, we haven't ever done this before, and we're just not the type of people that make snap decision. We got to hear from several people just to make sure that we are clear and understand what's going on. Okay.
Yeah, and I support it 100%, Tim. Just so you know, I have nothing against that. Obviously, I'd be honored if you guys select me, just so that I'm clear. I know that you said that you want different information. I want to make sure that at least on my end, I'm also able to give you the different information. What type of information are you looking to get a second opinion on?
Well, I mean, just sort of, the pricing and what the market's doing. We went over comps and I mean, obviously, I'd like more money for the house, as you know, and you sold it to me. It's a great house, but I obviously we'd like to get some more money. But we just kind of want to hear what somebody else has to say.
Got it. So if I'm hearing you correctly, it's mainly pricing that you want to get different opinions on.
Yeah, kind of assessment of the market and pricing. Yeah.
Okay, so kind of just like, hey, what's going on with the marketplace? And these second opinions, do you already have other meetings set up, or are you going to go through the process? Okay. Do you mind me asking, like, when are those meetings set up for?
I have one on Thursday and one on Saturday.
Okay, so one tomorrow and then one on Saturday as well, too. Got it. And then, since you do have these meetings,
there's other people in these areas, obviously, who else sells in our neighborhood, you've seen these other things, you know who those folks are.
Okay, so it's somebody else that's selling in the neighborhood. And let me ask you this, like, I know that you mentioned that you like for it to be a higher price. I know that the price we talked about is like 1.8. What were you hoping that the price would be for your property?
That price is okay. I'm okay with that price. I mean, that looks like that's what's selling. I mean, we saw the neighbor's home sold for a little bit more, but it had a pool and ours does not. So, we're okay with that price, but it's kind of I mean, maybe somebody sees something that we hadn't been aware of, or has a tweak or two that might make a difference, that we haven't gone over or something.
Like a difference in terms of marketing, a difference in terms of price, a difference in terms of commission? What are we referring to?
Just sort of the approach about how we're gonna market the property, how we're gonna what somebody might feel they can get more money because they have some different ideas on a way to present it.
Got it. So if I'm hearing you correctly, like obviously like you want to make sure that you're not leaving any money on the table and that you walk away with the most money. The other thing is obviously you want to make sure that the property is promoted in a way where it increases marketing and it increases the traffic for the property, meaning you get top dollar.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're a great agent. That's why, we called you. But I'm just, it's like, why does one person sell for more in a neighborhood than another? What did they do differently? And I just don't know the answer to that.
Yeah. So I actually want to apologize to you, Tim. I don't believe I've actually done a really good job explaining to you what I'm going to do to help you market and promote your property. So I want to apologize to you for that. Now, if it's okay with you, if you're going to be getting other opinions, what I like to do for you is I like to share with you our marketing plan and very specifically what we're going to do to help you get top dollar. Don't worry, it won't take up a lot of time. I just want to make sure that if you're comparing our services and marketing ideas, that you have a really good idea as to what we're going to offer you. That way, if you are comparing, you are comparing apples to apples versus apples to oranges. Is it okay if I do that?
Sure, I appreciate that.
Okay. And then I'd go over the marketing plan of action at that point. Now, if I felt that pricing was an issue, I would also go into the pricing portion of it as well too, basically.
Yeah.
And I would make sure that if they're comparing, that they really understand it, because you're telling me like, hey, marketing ideas, like it's, and in your price point, Tim, marketing is important. They want to hear that stuff, they do. And I tell you that because obviously, like I've sold $2 million properties. I've got a $5 million listing coming up, a 2.6 as well too. So I know that they want to hear what you're going to do, and I know that my competitors are using that. So at this point, I'm imagining that you haven't presented the plan of action when you're asking for the
well, usually it
contract
comes
be
to
signed. I'm imagining that.
right. Well, yeah, usually it comes in the pre list email where it has my marketing, it has comps, it has testimonial links, it has different have different elements of that email that I send out, and so I sort of work from the assumption that they've gone through it, which may or may not be true.
You're assuming so many things, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
you're assuming a lot of things, and I'll be very transparent with you. There's a couple things that have helped my business tremendously. One of them was mastering that I've already got another agent objection handle. The other one was I need to think about it at the listing presentation. The last one was learning how to present the marketing plan of action in a way that gets people excited and in a way where they actually want the services that I have to offer. So I have learned how to present the marketing plan of action in a way where it gets people excited. They're like, "Oh my God, I want what he has to offer. Therefore, I want to work with him." Now, here's my question to you. Do you practice outside of this?
Yes.
How many times do you role play a week?
Twice.
Okay. You don't want to hear this, Tim. You're not
I'm
going to get
listening,
any
brother.
better. You're not going to get any better practicing twice a week, bro. You're
Well,
not.
twice a week with people, but I'm chanting, I'm writing out scripts too.
Okay.
No.
So no. Okay. It's okay. When I was coming up, bro, I was practicing 10 times, no, like 13 times a week.
Yeah.
Twice a day during the week and once on Saturdays in the morning. I still role play probably like 6 or 7 times a week. So it's not magic, bro. You're practicing twice a week or twice a week. It's going to take you 100 years to get good. I'm practicing 10 times or 13 times a week. It's going to take me 5 years to get good because I'm getting 6 times the amount of practice that you're getting in a week. I'm getting 6 times. That means it's going to take me 6 times less. So if it takes me 5 years, it's going to take you 30 years, bro.
Right.
To do that.
Well, I don't have 30 years, Jose.
Well, for me, I had the 30 years. I just didn't want to wait 30 years.
No, I get it.
You know?
It's an interesting dilemma because I've been doing it for so long, I'm breaking habits and delving into new elements and think I have a handle on it. I'm working with people. Most of the people that I role play with are not as good as I am. I work with Eric Gladish. He's really good. He's coming up, really well. But I'm not working with people necessarily that are superior to me. So that's been a bit of a problem.
And that's a little bit of an ego right there. And I want to apologize to you for saying that to you. But it does, and this is what I told somebody else on this call, and he knows who he is very specifically, told me a very similar thing that some of the people that he wanted to role play only with people that are better than him and this and that. I'm like, bro, at the very beginning, it doesn't matter, bro. Just have a live person on the other line, bro. Doesn't matter. Get your wife to role play with you. Get your cousin, get whoever. Just have somebody there that will give you feedback and get in the habit of doing it 12 to 13 times a week. And once you get in the habit of doing that, what's going to happen is you're going to get better, which you're going to attract better people by doing that, bro. I learned that you can learn something from somebody, bro. You can learn.
Sure.
Everybody has something that you can learn from. Everybody.
Mm-hmm.
When I go to family parties, bro, my wife's family parties, I talk to people and I learn stuff. My wife's like, "Why do you talk to people?" I learn stuff. I learned like the other day that my wife's uncle works for the county in a certain department that I'm familiar with, and my wife didn't even know that. Why? Because I talk to people. So you can learn from talking to people, not only scripts, you can learn about life, you can learn about other things. So it doesn't matter if they're at your level or if you're at this. And here's another thing that I would say to you. Here's how to determine if you're a really good script or if it's a little bit of ego. If a majority of your business comes from past clients and sphere of influence, if it's 90% and whatever, I wouldn't count that into your listing presentation ratio. I wouldn't count that into your appointment settings ratio. I would only count the cold business. Your ability to convert cold business lets you know how really good you are. If your conversion on cold business is 10%, 15%, you're not very skilled. You're more of a relationship type based agent, which is good. There's still a lot of money to be made there, but your skills aren't that great, which means just role playing with anybody is going to help you get better basically at that point.
Right on. Thanks.
I hope it's helpful. And
yeah, no, it's very helpful. Yeah, no, super helpful. Eye-opening.
Yeah, but even for me, bro, the reason I am where I am and the reason I was able to do it in 5 to 7 years is I have literally role played every single day for the last 13 years, 12 years, basically. That's the reason I sound the way I am. It's not that I have a natural gift, not that I have natural ability. I just really took on that principle and said, oh my God, this is the magic formula. It's so simple. I'm going to do it. And then on top of the role playing, I was chanting. I was chanting 1 hour a day or 30 minutes a day every single day. So I hope that this is helpful.
For sure.
It's not going to get any better unless you role play.
Role play more. All right.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for role playing with me.
Of course, bro. All right, guys. Hope that this was helpful. We are having an event, guys. We have an event in Florida. I love to have an opportunity to meet all of you guys. It's we're gonna have Pace Moore be there. Aaron Novello is gonna be there. We're gonna have some senior partners like Lars Hedenborg and John Mikas. So if you're interested in that event, send me a DM, and then I'm happy to basically send you the link to go to the event. I'd love to have the opportunity. We're gonna be teaching some great stuff, guys. So, all right, appreciate you guys.